Hello, my dear friends. Good morning, everyone. Class 6. Today, we will be discussing about the geography chapter, Major Landforms of the Earth. You must have seen some of the landforms features as shown in the figure number 6.1 below. You will notice that the surface of the earth is not the same everywhere. The earth has an infinite variety of landforms. Some parts of the lithosphere may be rugged and some flat. These landforms are the result of two processes. You will be amazed to know that the ground you are standing on is slowly moving. Within the earth, a continuous movement is taking place. The first or the internal process leads to the upliftment and sinking of the earth's surface at several places. So see this figure number 6.1. You will come to notice. Now we will see in detail that we have studied that earth is continuously moving. Yes. So it rotates on its own axis and even revolves around the sun. We do not feel these movements even though these movements are faster than probably any car on the earth. Additionally, there is continuous movement under the earth's surface as well. So we have seen here one term, that is internal process. So we will see what is internal process in detail. See, the earth's surface is made up of several huge plates, that is called tectonic plates. So these are many thousand meters thick and they cover millions of square kilometers of the surface. The division lines between the plates are not visible as such on the surface. So these plates keep moving, rubbing, pushing and pulling against each other. Their movement is very slow and cannot be felt by us. Only sometimes you may feel the movements when you feel an earthquake. For few seconds we can feel that. The movement of the tectonic plate causes changes in the shape of the land. So there are continuous activities which are happening inside and outside the earth. So these are known as internal process. They cause the rising or sinking the earth's surface. The hills, mountains, valleys, etc. They are formed by these movements. These movements means which movements? Internal process movement. Okay. Now we will see the second or the external process. Okay. External process is the continuous wearing down and rebuilding of the land surface. The wearing away of the earth's surface is called erosion. Okay, erosion. The surface is being lowered by the process of erosion and rebuilt by the process of deposition. These two processes are carried out by running water, ice, wind. Broadly, we can group different landforms depending on elevation and slope as mountains, plateaus and plains. See, my dear students, we will see in detail that the other activities that occur over the earth's surface are called external process. Okay, these external process, the other activities that occur over the earth's surface are called external process. So the external process causes, what it causes? Erosion. Okay, erosion and deposition, that also we will see in detail, my dear students. So they causes erosion and deposition. So first we will see what is erosion. Erosion is the process of degradation and removal of the earth's surface. Erosion is the process of degradation and removal of the earth's surface. You would have seen sand. It is fine particles of stones, yes, and stones are smaller piece of rock. So repeated heating and cooling of rocks and stones develop cracks in them. Rain, lightning and thunder along the winds and storms causes them to break further into finer particles. So subsequently, rainwater, melting snow and fast blowing winds move sand from one place to the other. So this is called erosion. Are you getting me? These process happens over a period of many years. So erosion we have understood. Now we will see what is deposition. What is deposition? So deposition is also called the process of aggradation. Now what is that? In the process, eroded material like the debris and finer particles of sand are moved by wind, waves and rain, and they keep getting accumulated at one place, getting deposited at one place. So this collection of the eroded material is called deposition. Yes. So what are the major landforms? Landforms are broadly classified as mountains, plateaus and plains. Mountains, plateaus and plains. Okay. So let us see how the various landforms are formed. Okay. So first we will discuss about mountains. A mountain, see here, a mountain. A mountain is any natural elevation of the earth's surface. The mountains may have a smaller summit and a broad base. It is considerably higher than the surrounding area. Some mountains are even higher than the clouds. As you go higher, the climate becomes colder. In some mountains, there are permanently frozen rivers of ice. They are called glaciers. There are some mountains you cannot see as they are under the sea because of harsh climate. Yes, because of harsh climate, less people live in the mountain areas. Since the slopes are steep, less land is available for farming. Okay. Now we will see in detail. See, mountains. Okay. Mountains are the natural elevation of the earth's surface. They are generally characterized by small summit and a broad base. They rise above the surroundings sharply. There could be isolated mountains or a series of them. A series of mountains are known as mountain ranges. Yes. So the series of mountains are known as mountain ranges. The Andes in South America and the Himalayas in India are the famous mountain ranges which are not only extended but also very high as well. Although not specifically defined, but smaller mountains with height less than 2000 feet above means sea level are called hills. Okay. Most mountains have low temperatures and are covered with snow. The highest mountains have such a thick layer of snow which turns into ice. So at places the mountain surface may not be visible at all and is fully covered by snow or ice. Have you remembered about the Himalaya? Yes. So among these high mountains we find that frozen rivers which are called glaciers. Frozen rivers, yes. So these glaciers are frozen mass of ice which may be hundreds of feet thick and hundreds of meters wide, just like a river. Okay. Many of the rivers which we see in the plains originate from the glaciers and travel through hundreds of kilometers to reach the sea. See, do you remember river Ganga? Yes. Mountains may be arranged in a line known as range. Okay, range. Many mountain systems consist of a series of parallel ranges extending over hundreds of kilometers. The Himalayas, the Alps, and the Andes are mountain ranges of Asia, Europe, and South America. Respectively, see figure number 5.1. Okay, so in the previous that I will show you. In figure number 5.1, mountains vary in their heights and shape. There are three types of mountains: fold mountains, block mountains, and the volcanic mountains. The Himalayan mountains and the Alps are young old mountains, okay, young fold mountains with rugged relief and high conical peaks. The Aravalli range in India is one of the oldest formed mountain systems in the world. The range has considerably worn down due to the process of erosion. The Appalachians in North America and the Ural Mountains in Russia have rounded features and low elevation. They are very old fold mountains. Now see, my dear students, we will see it one by one. First we will discuss about the block mountain. What is block mountain? Okay, so block mountains are created when large areas are broken and displayed vertically. The uplifted blocks are termed as hordes and the lower blocks are called graben. The Rhine Valley and the Vosges Mountains in Europe are examples of such mountain systems. Locate them on the world map in the atlas and find out some more examples of this type of landform. Now see, here we will see in detail that mountains are classified. Basically, mountains are classified into three types, which are fold mountains, block mountains, and volcanic mountains. So they are distinct and identifiable. How? Fold mountains, how they are identifiable? That these mountains look like a series of folds on the ground. Yes. So these are formed due to the compression of plates during their movement as depicted in the sketch. Okay. Along with this, you can see the sketch that fold mountains are formed due to the compression of plates during their movement. Okay, so they are they are spread a sheet of cloth on a table and then push the sheet from one side. It will rise folds into the folds at many places. So this is what the fold mountains would look like exactly. A look at the illustration would help you to understand how such mountains look. The Himalayas in India, the Alps in Europe, and the Andes in South America. These are the examples of such fold mountains. Okay. Whenever it comes about the fold mountains examples, which are the examples? Himalaya in India, Alps in Europe, and Andes in South America. These mountainous ranges, these mountains are the example of fold mountains. Are you getting me? Okay. Next we will see what is block mountain. Okay. So block mountain. Block mountain, these are formed when the plates drift outwards and cause vertical displacement in pieces of land. So pieces of land may sink downwards or rise upward. The uplifted blocks are called hordes. Okay, hordes. The uplifted blocks are called hordes and the lowered blocks are called graben. The Vosges mountain in Europe is one such example. Okay. So this is the figure of block mountain. Now we will turn towards the volcanic mountain. Okay, we will see the volcanic mountain. So these are mountains, volcanic mountains, which are formed as a result of volcanic eruptions. Yes, these are the volcanic mountains are formed as a result of volcanic eruption. Due to the volcanic eruption, volcanic mountains are being formed. So such mountains are found in many parts of the world, which are especially towards Japan, New Zealand, North Europe and South America. You will get a fair understand by looking at the sketch and the picture about volcanic mountains. So you will understand. So we will discuss about the mountains are very useful. The mountains are a storehouse of water. Many rivers have their source in the glaciers, in the mountains. Reservoirs are made and the water is harnessed for the use of people. So if we see, mountains are an important part in human life. How that we will see? Mountains affect the movement of wind and flow of water. How? High mountains block the movement of wind from one side to the other. For example, we will see, due to the presence of the Himalayas, cold winds from Tibet and China cannot come towards India. Is it possible? No, na? So similarly, they force rain clouds to shade the moisture in India. Secondly, we will see many rivers flow out of the glaciers in the Himalayas and other regions of the country. These rivers provide water and agriculture and other uses of people living in the plains. Next one is mountains have rich deposit of minerals. These can be extracted for use by human beings. Yes. So because due to their rich deposition of minerals, it is important for human beings. Many people visit the mountains for adventure and tourism. Many sports like rock climbing, parasailing, skiing, etc. So these are associated with mountains as the region poses challenges for human endurance. Yes, tourists visit the mountains regions for their natural scenic beauty. And the last importance of the mountain is mountains have a variety of flora and fauna, which is quite different. Flora and fauna, which is quite different from the plains. The cooler temperatures, the type of soil and the water stream allow different varieties of animals and plants to survive the mountains. So now this was about the mountains. Next we will be discussing about plateaus. Okay. A plateau is an elevated flat land. It is a flat top tableland standing above the surrounding area. A plateau may have one or more sides with steep slopes. The height of plateaus often varies from few hundred meters to several thousand meters. Plateaus, like mountains, may be young or old. The Deccan Plateau in India is one of the oldest plateaus. The East African Plateau in Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda and the Western Plateau of Australia are other examples. Okay. The Tibet Plateau. See figure number 5.1 that I will show you. The Tibet Plateau is the highest plateau in the world with the height of 4,000 to 6,000 meters above the the mean sea level. Okay, the mean sea level. The plateaus are very useful. How? Because they are rich in mineral deposits. As the result, many of the mining areas in the world are located in the plateau areas. See, plateaus are the type of raised grounds which are particularly flat on top. They are like tabletops and stand distinctly from the rest of the surroundings. Okay, so they may be just a few meters to hundred of meters high. They are generally formed by cooling of volcanic material which settles down and solidifies after an eruption. The Deccan Plateau of India, are you getting me, my dear students? The Deccan Plateau of India, the Tibetan plateaus are two famous plateaus of Asia, the continent Asia. Which are the famous plateaus in Asia? Yes, Deccan Plateau of India and Tibetan Plateau. Okay. So many Eastern African countries like Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda also have plateaus like this. The Tibetan plateau is the highest plateau in the world and is also called the roof of the world. Yes. So the Tibetan plateau is called roof of the world. Yes. And the height is that we have seen here, the height is of 4,000 to 6,000 meters above the sea level. So what are the importance of plateaus? Plateaus are characterized by rich in minerals as well as the deposits. For example, in India, Chota Nagpur Plateau in India is rich in coal and iron that we have studied in standard 5th also. There are many waterfalls where rivers waterfalls over the edge of the plateau on the area. Yes, at the several places these falls, the waterfalls are used to generate electricity, hydroelectricity. Have you heard the word? The plateaus which have black soil, they are good for growing crops like cotton and other cash crops. So extensive farming is done on such soil, in this such type of soil which are present on the plateaus. Now we will turn towards the plains. What are the plains and what are the importance of plains? Okay. Now see about the plains. Okay. So plains are large stretches of flat land. They are generally not more than 200 meters above mean sea level. Some plains are extremely level. Others may be slightly rolling and undulating. So most of the plains are formed by rivers and their tributaries. The rivers flow down the slopes of mountains and erode them. They carry forward the eroded material. Then they deposit their load consisting of stones, sands and silt along their courses and in their valleys. So it is from these deposition that plains are formed. Are you getting me? So generally plains are very fertile, very fertile. Construction of transport network is easy. Okay, so thus these plains are very thickly populated region in the world. Some of the largest plains made by the rivers are formed in Asia and North America. For example, in Asia, these plains are formed by the Ganga and the Brahmaputra in India and the Yangtze in China. Okay, plains are the most useful areas for human habitation. There is a great concentration of people as more flat land is available for building houses as well as for cultivation. Now we will see in detail that Plains are the most common landforms. They are flat or nearly flat surfaces which could be formed by the external process of erosion and deposition. So they are normally formed by a fine soil called the alluvium soil. Okay, have you heard the alluvial soil? We have discussed in last year in 5th standard. So it's alluvial soil brought down from the mountains by the rivers. Some of the famous plains in the world are the Gangetic Plains in India and Huanghe in China. So these are the plains, famous plains name in India, the Gangetic Plain, and in China, Huanghe. So rivers coming down from higher regions have a narrow path and higher flow of water and move very fast as the slope is sharp and surface is rocky. These speed and force of the water make them carry along large amount of eroded material from the mountain surface and surroundings. Once the river reaches the plains, it gets wider. Are you getting me? Once the river reaches the plains, it gets wider. Since the same amount of water is now flowing through a wider area and shallow slope, it would automatically lose its speed. Yes, the river starts depositing the soil and particles it brought from the higher reaches which are left behind as alluvial deposits in the plain. Gradually what happens? Gradually the river reaches the place where it meets the sea or the ocean. By the time it reaches this area, it gets so slow that the eroded material is left behind as sediments and silt. Such areas where the river sediments divide the water channel into many small distributaries is known as delta. Now you will come into know that what is delta and how delta is being formed. So what did I say just now? So such areas where the river sediments divide the water channel into many small distributaries. So it is known as delta. Okay, my dear students. Now we will see what are the importance of plains. What are the importance of plains? Plains have very fertile soil that we have seen here in this paragraph, that plains have fertile soil and they are also rich in minerals. So fertile soil facilitates, what does fertile soil facilitates? Growing of crops, and therefore most of the ancient civilizations civilizations came up in these fertile areas that we have seen in the previous history chapter, Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. Yes, civilizations. The flat surface of the plains facilitate easy movement and transportation of people and goods as well as constructions and setting up of industries. It is good for them. So it is easier to make roads, it is easier to make railway bridges, it is easier to make airports and industrial centers on the plains than on the other landforms. It is easy to make on plains. The river basins and plains are thus the most populous. This is the main reason why the river basins and the plains are most populous areas all over the world. Okay. Now we will be discussing about landforms and the people. Okay. So humans have been living on different kinds of landforms in different ways. Life is difficult in mountainous areas. Plains provide much better conditions. It is easy to grow crops, build houses on a road in a plain than a mountain, that we have discussed it before. Okay. So can you point out some differences in the ways people live in different kinds of landforms? Sometimes natural calamities such as earthquakes, destructions, volcanic eruptions, storms and floods causes widespread disruptions. Okay, so huge loss of life and property takes place. By creative awareness about such incidences, we can lower these risks. You may find out from your own surroundings in how many ways we use the land and water. Quite often we use the land in a wasteful manner. For example, constructing house on a fertile land. Similarly, we throw garbage on land or or in important water, making them dirty. Yes, we should avoid using such important gift of nature in careless manner. The available land is not only for our use, it is our duty to leave the earth a better place for future generation as well. Now, see my dear friends, people have always chosen to live at places where they could get food, water and shelter. Yes, it is. Yes. So they also live in high mountains, in jungles and in deserts. Life is difficult in such regions and therefore people want to migrate. People want to go to places where they can live a comparatively easier life. Are you getting, my students? So this leads to people migrating to towns and cities in search of jobs and livelihood. See, towns and cities are therefore getting highly congested. Okay, congested. So you have studied that the landforms are the result of the internal and external process, which are an ongoing process, continuous process. So these processes are responsible for disasters. For what? Like earthquake, landslides, floods, volcanoes, tsunamis, cyclones, etc., which keeps happening at different places. These these processes at times cause serious destruction and devastation and cause heavy loss of life and property. Yes. So we all know that the surface of the earth is unique, but its capability to sustain agriculture and industry is limited. We should not do anything which harm the earth. Pollution of air and water, indiscriminate use of polythene, wastage of water are matter of concern for all of us. We should be careful. We should be careful about these so that the earth continues to be a livable place for many centuries in our future for the next generation. The government of India has taken many steps to save the environment and to bring about cleanliness. Use of plastic has been controlled and the initiatives such as Swachh Bharat have been also undertaken to ensure a better and healthy environment. So I hope that you have understood this lesson